My number is 14. Welcome to the show.
Oddly enough, he has a 2-inch penis.
My guest, as usual, is Mr. B, the mysterious one.
Bonjour.
Today we're going to be talking about, let's see, the Rio Games and its goddamn impending disaster. We're going to be talking about what we're drinking. We're also going to, what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to get to the 5 biggest disasters that are going to happen at these poison games. That
we're going to try to establish the sort of
precedents.
Vegas odds on
Sure.
what's going.
The plus or minus.
Yeah. The plus or minus. Yeah.
You're going to come here to bet, people. That's what you're doing.
And of course, the real international game, Pokemon Go.
Yeah, the real game that everybody's playing and obsessing about, and really the one they should probably make an Olympic sport out of, because that's the only thing people give a shit about these days. But first, let's start with what are you drinking? I'm drinking PBR, man. I'm supporting Russia in my own way.
Mother Russia.
In case you didn't know, PBR was bought by a Russian conglomerate. So if you are anti-Russian, you better put down that fucking PBR, bitch. It's no longer yours.
Put down that crushed can.
It doesn't taste like much, I gotta say. What are you drinking?
You know what? Just before we get to what I'm drinking, PBR is can be very refreshing if cold, I must say.
I guess.
Like Russia.
It's refreshing. Yeah. Refreshingly cold.
So what am I drinking? I am drinking our pal's homebrew. Actually, I would say it's a cut above homebrew.
Yeah, it's a little bit more pro than just like some guy's bathtub.
So we got a couple pals who are starting a little Pico brewery, and they have some automation going. They're taking kind of a high-tech approach to it.
Is Pico Brewery your invention here, or is this a real term?
Oh, I'm sure other people have used it, but it's definitely not a microbrewery.
Okay, so just to clarify for people who aren't familiar with this weird ghost term you just made up.
It's super small.
It's
super small.
Right before you're about to be a big deal and in grocery stores or whatever, but you're making enough that you're supplying not just your friends, but your friends' friends and your friends' friends' friends. Right?
You're getting there. Yeah, exactly. So I'm drinking this interesting chocolate chalkboard ale. It's brown like a stout, but sharp like an IPA. It's pretty good.
We have an interesting. You said there was kind of an interesting rule here in the province we live in, Quebec, about if you want to start your own microbrewery. What is the rule exactly?
Oh, I think it's more for starting a spirit company. You have to put a whole bunch of money in reserve. You know, that's easy for a small business to do, right?
Sure, yeah.
Like it's
how much money we're talking?
It's
how much
something
capital
in the order of the same amount you expect to make in first-year sales.
Yeah.
I haven't checked the rules lately, but
it's
you're
selling
almost
alcohol.
impossible. Yeah, exactly.
You're not talking about how much you're expected to make in profit. How much you expect to make in sales?
It's just bad news.
Okay,
yeah.
but what about for just if you're a beer, though?
Not sure. Actually, I guess our buddies are going to find out soon.
I thought there was something.
There's some rule where you can't. Oh yeah, right. So it's a lot more difficult to sell beer to bars than it is to corner stores that we call dépanneurs here, and which literally means troubleshooter, get you out of trouble.
It's true. It's pretty much what they do.
And grocery stores. So they're going to go for that easy one first, which is fine. But it was kind of a neat thing. Apparently, you just have to send a sample of your finished brew
in a bottle,
sealed. To a lab, a sealed bottle. And they just test it for all kinds of rogue microbes and yeasts and stuff. And if it passes the clean test, then basically you're allowed to brew in the conditions you already have.
And I wonder what it is for labels, though. Because, in the U.S., there's like one dude who decides on all beer labels. He has an unbelievable amount about... Yeah. One guy. One fucking guy.
Do we, like a government official who rubber stamps it, or one guy that designs them?
No. One guy who rubber stamps that shit. I watched a documentary about him. He's a power-hungry maniac, and he has a very specific rules about. Well, they enforce rules about how beer labels are supposed to be made, and in a sense, it kind of makes sense. You don't want your beer label to be absolutely anything. I mean, otherwise, just put a giant pair of tits on that shit.
Like, he just wants to make sure the alcohol percentage is.
No, it's nothing like.
And the nutritional shit.
I mean, it will. There are people. Label makers who have been on camera doing interviews about how they did everything possible to make this fucker happy, and he still said no. Because, at the end of the day, the truth is that ultimate power corrupts absolutely.
Wow.
And he has ultimate power.
If someone said, hey, this is your microscopic kingdom, rule it however you wish.
And he rules with a fucking iron fist, dude.
With an iron dildo.
Yeah, it's you know what, I'll try to find the documentary and link it in the... in the
crazy.
in the notes, but it's kind of nuts when you think about the fact that there are certain industries which are entirely controlled by one dude. I mean, if you don't have a label, you don't have a product.
It's like cornering the market on paper clips. Like, who fucking cares? But that's a lot of power for one person.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yep. I mean, there's probably markets out there. Like, a good example of a market that's controlled, that has way too much power here in Quebec, is maple syrup. It is literally a fucking cartel. If you sell your maple syrup that you collected outside of your house at a store for below what the agreed price is, they will take your shit. I mean, there's a woman in Quebec whose entire sugar shack little zone is going to be taken over by this cartel because she was selling it at a lower price.
Madness.
And so I'm like, that's a fucking mafia, dude.
Well, it also sort of reminds me of the MPAA. You've seen that documentary, right? This film is not yet rated or something like that.
I watched it a few times.
So much... Well, there we go.
Bam! Drinking another one.
Although they're a Russian conglomerate, their cans have a satisfying pop.
Every time you hear a pop, that's money that goes to Russia.
So anyway, the MPAA, it's a group of, a handful of representative parents and...
Representative, that's a joke, too.
They're supposedly
friends
representative.
Of friends.
They're not elected in any way. They're just friends of friends, apparently. Small group. And they decide the movie ratings. They decide what's NC-17, they decide what's rated X, rated G, rated... I don't know what the different ratings are, but...
PG-13, then there's... rated R,
NC-17. Now, is there an NC-16? Because I think by 16 you're sort of ready for something.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit of...
They're not really that precise. But
anyway.
It's not uncommon, though, for if you look at the history of almost all media, there's always been this censorship that sort of comes along. So this is not anything new.
It's nothing new, but it's just another example of a small group of unelected bozos...
Who decide
something important. Yeah. Like, sure, the beer label guy might, 100 years ago or something, or 150 years ago, might not have been a very important job. But one guy took it really seriously, and now how many hundreds of millions of labels does he control?
Well, I mean, there's not that many labels. But if you're
all the microbreweries.
Okay, but there's not 100 million of them, man.
No, but each microbrewery in the States, there's probably thousands.
Oh, yeah.
Has at least 5 different beers.
Well, this is also why I have to imagine that this person can't possibly go through them all, and a lot of rejection is just, I'm too fucking busy. But, hey, you know what? At the end of the day, the sad truth is with this world is that somebody's got to be in control of it, and most of the time, nobody wants to put their hands on the wheel. So if there's a fucking monkey driving, that's on you.
That's on you.
That's on you, fuck.
Yeah, but that kind of thing is sort of ripe for corruption. I'm not saying this guy's corrupt, but that arrangement where there's one guy with all the power and a bunch of small businesses whose sort of livelihood depends on this guy rubber stamping their label, and he has no time, that's just the perfect conditions to ask for a little yellow envelope to slide across the table and for money to be exchanged as a bribe. I'm just saying.
Speaking of bribe, let's talk about the Olympics.
Hey, Olympics!
Hey! Okay, so now if you haven't been following it all, and we're definitely going to be covering a lot of this for the next... How long do the Olympics last? 2.5 weeks? I forget how long they last.
That's wishful thinking.
Okay. So in any case, the Olympics in Rio were off to a very, very rocky start. I could make a list, but it would actually be too long to list of all of the disasters.
Let's just do a very quick rundown.
Let's just start off with every single road and development that they were trying to build is late. I mean, the games are starting tomorrow.
There was a sniper. We haven't heard about the sniper on the main road. We haven't heard from the sniper in a while. Hopefully we won't. Hopefully we won't.
He's just getting warmed up.
Listen.
How many people did he kill?
Let's get to the prediction part later.
How many people did he kill?
We're just going through the quick list right now.
So the bike path that collapsed and killed those bikers?
And that was a Hallmark project. Mm-hmm. Yeah, collapsed,
bike path by the side of the water.
Yeah, built like crap. Chinese Olympian robbed in Rio after thief pretended to be drunk and vomited on him.
Interesting.
There's a ton of tourist scams like that, like shoe shining scams and pickpocket scams.
The jiu-jitsu guy.
Jiu-jitsu, okay, so it's not technically part of the Olympics, but this New Zealand jiu-jitsu guy was being basically targeted by people dressed up as the federal police. Might be the federal police, just saying.
Strong reason to believe
How'd they get those uniforms and guns? Well, probably pretty easy to do in Brazil. But he was brought to different ATMs around the city.
Multiple times.
Multiple times. Finally, the third time, he said, you know what? Fuck this. I'm moving to Canada.
You know what? Imagine you got kidnapped 3 times at gunpoint.
Yeah, I mean, within like 2 days.
That's 4 times more than is necessary.
That's a lot more than is necessary. The Guanabara Bay has a lot of dead
the
fish
environmental
and
problems.
dead dogs and floating couches.
90% of its beaches have superbugs.
The other beaches too, like Copacabana and what's the other one? Lisbon. They're full of superbugs and fecal stuff.
Yeah,
human stuff. Apparently, they made a promise when they bid for the Olympics to clean up, treat 80% of the sewage coming off of the favelas, the slums.
But instead,
it's they're claiming now they didn't meet the target. That we're going to hear that a lot over the next couple weeks. They're claiming 50%, but another neutral group is saying they're only treating about 20. And the worst is the superbug, like antibiotic resistant strains of nasty. It's likely due to the hospital sewage, like sick people sewage.
Coughing your fucking in your
Nasty.
food, and then and apparently there's like a fucking steampunk city network of sewer tubes just unloading right into the fucking river.
Total chaos.
Chaos. The games themselves have told athletes who are swimming, keep your mouth shut. But that should really be the name of the game. Like their fucking motto.
It's something
keep your
like
fucking mouth shut.
2 teaspoons of this water, apparently, is enough to essentially guarantee you're going to get sick.
2 years ago, when there was a
2
competition,
teaspoons.
a quarter of all the participants got sick. Okay? What percentage of people do you think are going to get sick? I predict, by the way, that the third world is going to clean up at these games. They're already fucking immune, all right? If you come from some fucking first world place where your water's treated and you've never drank from the fucking Ganges, you're done, man. India's going to win all the swimming competitions. Prediction number 1. That's my fucking... I'm saying it right now. I'm just launching right into it.
Yeah, it'll probably make them stronger. Crazy.
Third world countries fucking will
They were born in it.
More medals than they have ever gotten in the history of the Olympics. They come in with a huge advantage.
No,
an immunological advantage.
Immunological advantage.
Yeah.
Hospitals are running out of medicine. That's in particular.
It hasn't started.
The ones I know. In particular, the ones that are designated to be Olympic.
Oh my god! So what are they going to give the Olympians? Fucking sugar pills?
Sugar pills.
They'll probably run out of those.
Anyway, there's a lot of crap going down.
Sugar pills.
We'll see. It's going to be a very exciting few weeks.
Well, let's not dilly dally. Let's get to our fucking predictions, yo.
Okay. Let's come up with a top 5.
Top 5. So I've already said my number 5 is that third world countries are going to fucking have the most medals they've ever had because most first world participants are going to get really motherfucking sick fast. They don't stand a chance.
There's going to be a massive incident at the athletes' village. They've been doing stress tests on some of the new structures. They're not passing.
You mean like
smelling like
collapse?
gas, lots of electrical sparks.
Yeah, that's a good combination. Gas and electrical sparks.
And plumbing issues, of course.
So explosion or collapse? You got to be specific here.
Well, I don't think it's going to be an outright collapse, but there's going to be flooding. They're going to have to evacuate. Some teams are going to complain that it affected their performance. It's basically going to be a big enough issue that we're going to hear about it, and Australia is going to say, "I told you so."
Okay, so here's my counter prediction. One of the emergency teams will actually be disguised robbers that rob people.
Oh, not bad.
Prediction number number 4 on my list. Emergency, people will be robbers.
Nice.
I like this so far. I got 2, man. You got to catch up. All right.
There's going to be something about Zika. Now we're going to hear about this maybe a month or 2 after, but a famous athlete will get Zika.
Get Zika. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Do you think, will it be a female or male athlete? Will she be potentially pregnant?
It'll be really sad. It'll be a female athlete trying to start a family or something, and Zika.
Maybe one of the things that's not really talked about is that the Olympics is basically a giant fuck fest. And a lot of people do get pregnant there. I mean, if you think about it, you want your Uber Max and your Uber Lasses to go over there and bang and produce super children, right? Unfortunately, these super children will have heads the size of a fucking tiny cantaloupe. for the rest of their life. So yeah,
Damn,
they're going to be
that's
scary.
Cold. That's cold.
So your number 4 on your list is famous athlete gets Zika.
Famous athlete gets Zika.
All right, so let's review. And your number 5 was a building flooding or something, calamity inside one of the Olympic villages.
Yeah, Olympic Village disaster.
Okay, I'm going to go with my third one is the sniper will kill at least 15 people.
Oh no.
15 dead before he's taken down, or he will not be found at all. Even after the Olympics, 20 years later on his deathbed, he'll confess to being the sniper. That's what's good. That's my sort of like bonus point.
All right. I'm going to predict that one of the major infrastructure transportation lines, new subway line or the new road, or maybe they'll patch together that bike path or something, it's gonna basically crumble. And
so you got 2 collapses there. You're going to strong infrastructural issues.
Very little confidence in that building
all right.
quality. Now I think, and not only that, but it will make people late for a major event, and there's going to be a shot of the crowds. Like if more people wouldn't have been trapped in the Metro Line 4, these stadiums would have been filled.
Okay.
Yeah, people will be late for a major event due to transportation.
Okay, so your third one is the collapse of maybe a tunnel, probably people inside of a tunnel,
something
maybe.
like that. Yeah.
Okay, so now let's go for my second one. I believe the second incident is going to be a pretty major terrorist hostage situation that's going to happen in one of the Olympic villages. So I'm not sure what political affiliation they'll have. But they will be radicalized Muslims who, this is the perfect storm for them anyways. And they will probably have been financed or fueled by existing drug cartels.
Not bad.
Who already have, it works, deals with them for their heroin trade in Afghanistan. So it could be some kind of like weird little fear play on their part to destabilize an already on the verge of collapse kind of country, and maybe even I won't tell you what my number 1 is, but I'm waiting that for the end. So my number 2, terrorist attack. Your number 2, sir.
Okay, my number 2. So the World Anti-Doping Agency (WADA) had previously suspended the Rio drug lab because they didn't meet international standards.
Right.
Of course
not.
And just a few days ago, that decision was reversed. So it's going to come out at the Olympics that the Russians are behind that in order to plant their own Russian sort of drug testers embed them within the Rio doping lab that recently reopened. Since Russia is back on the ticket, I can only assume that those two things are not coincidental.
Okay, so we have a
doping scandal
involving
Russia
and creating global tensions as a result, undoubtedly.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
So my number 1 thing, and this is going to be the result of the botched attempt at rescue from the hostages, will be a coup. There will be a coup in Brazil, either
during the Olympics or right after, or you're not going to say. Within 2 months of the Olympics.
Oh, well, yeah, actually within 2 months, because after the post-glow of the Olympics, and then once the bill really comes in,
nothing's better, things are worse,
and there's zero ability for them to be able to borrow at that point. I mean, so definitely a coup. I would say though, you know what? I want to say maybe at the last day would be probably during the pageantry, and they're using the chaos or whatever and of that to probably be the moment of strike.
The jets are going to circle around Rio, and
they think it's part of the air show.
Yeah,
and the tanks are
it's
out.
a coup.
Nah, it's a
motherfucking coup.
Military fucking coup.
All right, my last one. There will be a shot on television in front of the international stage of either a sailor or a swimmer with human feces on them emerging from the water, and they'll be crying.
You know what? I would put more likely that a dead body will appear during one of the boat races.
All right, that's the bonus one. That's our bonus.
Boom! His head will hit the fucking boat, and then oh man, maybe even just come off, just get spiked on it or something like that. Could you imagine?
The internet will go wild.
It would go wild. But so I see that your prediction is a lot less apocalyptic than mine. Mine involves let's go through it. A coup that was precipitated by a terrorist attack. Yeah. So
a sniper
and a sniper
picking off 15 people and maybe never getting caught.
Never getting fucking caught.
Wow, it's all you can do is laugh. Honestly, there's nothing really left to do.
Okay, so what the way that you can pick and choose from our list here, or you can join the winning team, which is obviously going to be Team 14, or you can join Team B. Although
B team.
The B team.
The B team.
You get what you deserve with the B team.
No membership fee at the B team.
Yeah, we have membership fees.
Yeah, we got a big one.
All right, so let's move on. Do you want to say anything about Rio? Because we're going to cover this. We're going to cover this in our own
It's going to be we're going to let Rio speak for itself very soon.
Let the shit fester. So let's move on to our. I just want to talk about what we did a little bit this weekend.
Okay.
Move on to our.
Well, I went to this huge ass music fest. It was insane.
I don't think that most people
totally
understand how big this music festival is.
I'm not sure how many.
It's not well known outside of this province even.
Well, no. Apparently, it's one of the biggest ones in North America.
No, but I'm saying you talk to people and say the word Hochelaga on the street, and nobody fucking knows what you're talking about. I swear to God.
It's not Hochelaga. It's Osheaga.
Oh, whatever.
You're thinking of the other region in our province here. So this is a huge music fest, an outdoor music fest. It takes place on an island next to the big island of Montreal, little one called Parc Jean Drapeau or John Flag.
It's a fake
Park.
island. It was made entirely out of the dig-ins of our fucking
building
system.
our subway system. Yeah. And holy cow, it was crazy. Saw Radiohead, saw the Red Hot Chili Peppers, saw some of the more obscure bands that I've been into these days, like M/O, pretty great, Danish band, Danish singer. But really the highlight, this was like a Dust Bowl kind of scorching heat.
No shit.
Crazy 3-day fest. I'm
surprised you're not more
yesterday I was really just recuperating. But the highlight was probably the artist Grimes, who was coming off of an 8-month tour, who had the flu.
Yeah.
It was hepped up on all these drugs or whatever, probably, and she was like holding her stomach and still like rocking around the stage. Her dancers were going crazy. She was belting out these insane tunes, and she was such a rocker. She fucking ducked behind the stage, puked a couple times, and kept going. You
don't have that kind of rocker no more.
Yeah.
The only thing I feel I'd be a bigger fan if she didn't look almost exactly like my ex. Like, it's just too painful to look at her, but she's amazingly talented. If I wasn't such a fucking wuss.
And you know what? There was this. So how many people go to Osheaga? It's in the tens of thousands, maybe even 100,000. I don't know. But it's huge. Yeah. It's freaking huge. There's 6 stages. They're all packed full of people. One of the surprisingly good acts that I didn't really know what to expect was the Arcs. You ever heard of the Arcs?
Never.
If you like the Black Keys, one of the guys from the Black Keys started the Arcs.
Oh, cool.
And we kept on saying during this show, like, these guys sound exactly like the Black Keys, but they're in a better mood. So
they're like the White Keys. They're not so dark.
Anyway, good stuff. It's always fun to go to a music fest and unwind. And
what did you see that was like the most creepy, weird thing? Because at a festival, every once in a while, you'll see like
there's the people. The people there's a lot of freaks.
What was the freakiest looking?
Freakiest looking were probably the there was a Luigi and Mario couple that were always around doing strange things at the fest, like hanging out near the porta potties and like just being weirdos. Like,
is there some gay cosplay?
I don't even think that they were there for the music. Like, let's put it that way.
They were there for the bathroom stalls?
I guess so. Anyway, festivals bring out all kinds of freaks, but. The crowds, they were massive, but the only time it got out of control was during Red Hot Chili Peppers. That's when we had to grip onto a metal fence and wait for the sea of people to wash by us.
So I guess those old Gramps still got it?
Still got it. Yeah, Flea. A flea can live for 2 years without any food, and Flea looked like he needed a cheeseburger or something.
Well, he is getting old.
He's getting old, but he's still kicking. Check out Flea's bass instructional video. We'll put a link down below. It's great.
Yeah.
He goes from 0 to 1,000.
Yeah, it's real instructional. Hey, beginner.
Hey, beginner.
You want to learn how to slap bass?
Don't watch this. Here's a simple scale. Boop, bip, Boop, boop.
Anyways, yeah.
Anyway, it's fantastic.
It's one of our favorite videos.
So that's what I did this weekend.
Yeah.
What did you do this weekend?
I had no internet. Yep. No fucking internet. Let me tell you something. There's a couple of things you learn when you have no internet. The first is that you think you'll miss the internet more than you actually do. Like, truthfully, if I actually had a phone and I was reachable other than the internet, I would probably not even miss it as much. Because I went back on today reading my news feed, and I just don't like anything I read. I don't even like the way that news is created, presented. Do you know? Like, I went on CNN, and now CNN does these fucking, oh, you won't believe the response of blah blah, and you're like, you are supposed to be a serious news organization, you embarrassing clods. Like, what the fuck is this bullshit? What is that noise?
You're welcome.
So it was, it was with some trepidation that I go back on the internet, and I just kind of want to go off again. If it wasn't for us trying to do this podcast and doing all kinds of things on it, I don't think I'd want to read it.
You'd walk the earth.
I would walk the earth. Look, for the most part, the best of the stuff that's being created, and I'm not going to use the word content anymore because that is fucking demeaning to artists who put work in art. Content is for you talentless fucks who just blah, blah, blah away. No,
Put the con in content.
Yeah, thank you. That's a great point. No. Art, real art, stuff that lasts. I mean, there's a ton of it out there, but it's not about the shit that's going down now. Because let me tell you something. Even though you're constantly, quote unquote, riveted with what's happening, nothing is happening. You understand that, right? Like, wheels are turning, but nothing's going on. Like, the gears are busted. You're just watching people fucking running on a hamster wheel and being like, ooh, who's going to win the race? Seriously? Like, come on, man. Like, you must see that it's like one of the Zeno's paradoxes. Nobody's moving. You know what I mean? Well, okay. We know what solves that paradox, right? The flow of time. But that's what we need. We need the flow of time to happen for more interesting things to, like, come into the worldosphere. Because as it stands right now, there are 3 pieces of news and they all blow.
Yeah.
Whatever Donald Trump's doing, Pokemon Go, and for the next little while, the Olympics. These are the 3 fucking pieces of news that anyone cares about. Forget about people being murdered in some other country. Forget about any scandals or the fact that no one's being arrested for financial fraud or any of that shit. Nope. 3 pieces of fucking news. That's all there is. This is depressing. Speaking of that, let's get onto a 3rd piece of news, eh? Pokemon Go.
Pokemon Go.
What a disaster to humanity this game is. I really think it's bringing out the worst in us.
Well, it's certainly not bringing out our best.
No.
Let's put it that way.
No.
Although, there is something. I guess it gets people to walk around the block a little bit more.
Yeah, they're getting outside in this virtualized
They're getting outside,
world.
yeah.
Is that supposed to be a good thing?
I mean, it's a walk outside, so it can be fairly innocuous. But there have been some run-ins. Like, there was a story recently about someone playing Pokemon Go and looking at their phone, and they got hit by a car.
Yeah.
But it turns out the driver
was
also playing Pokemon Go.
Yeah, I saw a video
Ouch.
of a guy who had just gotten hit by a car, and he looked pretty fucked up. You're like, he was saying things not making any sense.
Gotta catch them all.
Yeah, gotta catch them all. You know what? It wouldn't be so bad if the game was like, I don't know, you went out and you had to take pictures of leaves to catch all of the different species of trees.
Yeah,
see, that would be actually useful.
Learn something.
Yeah,
a little bit.
See, your whole
learn something
fucking
interesting.
Pokemon shit. What you're doing is it's basically cockfighting with animals that are under your ownership. It's kind of fucked up.
Yeah,
and you store them in these balls.
Well,
they never get to leave.
You know what? I'm a little bit more hopeful about it. I think that this kind of AR, augmented reality game, can lead to good things, and this is just the first shitty example. For me, this is sort of like what Super Mario Brothers was to Nintendo and home entertainment systems. It gets more people into it and lets them see what kind of fun they can have. But this won't be the last game, I hope. I hope we get into some good educational games or some kind of mystery game.
Well, you know how I feel about augmented reality with one of my stories that I'm writing. I'm not a big fan of it. I think that the more we augment reality, the more we take away from it that which we don't like. And that's, it's a natural human impulse. You want to take all of the bad and darkness and out of the world. But you kind of need it. You kind of fucking need it.
You kind of need it, yeah.
Just as a reminder that, perhaps perhaps human kindness, when it does show itself, is all the more precious when you see just how little kindness there is in the universe. Like, let's just say that it is the most unkind of universes. Cold in most places, unbelievably hot in certain ones, and just on a knife's edge of life in fucking select corners. Wow, what a great design. What full of love this universe is.
Yeah, no, but like a leaf identification or plant identification game would be pretty rad. Maybe...
or just a geolocation like travel app where you got to find these amazing, like, you know, you appify every single tourist attraction.
Exactly.
And you basically say, like, gotta locate all these tourist attractions
and find out the history of each one, or whatever. That would be
and answer
cool.
a trivia question. And then, because the thing that's really bugs me about Pokemon Go is how much human effort goes into this that goes nowhere.
Yeah, okay, that's a fair point, for sure.
And if it wasn't so much, if it didn't bug so many people into doing it, and you're just like, man, I wish we could harness all of this fucking effort into something that's positive.
It'd be kind of neat is battling light pollution. You know, in the cities, no one can see any stars, or they see one or two stars. If you could have sort of a what would the sky look like if the city were tamped out?
Yeah, you just put it in the position of the sky and it can tell you.
Or hey, you know, you look at the moon, you see a little sliver is lit up. Like, hey, wouldn't it be neat to teach kids, you know, where the sun is right now, and they point down into the earth and they see, oh, this is what it would look like if the earth were hollow or invisible.
Well, it reminds me of that app where you can see where planes are and shit like that.
Yeah, exactly. Like you can learn stuff that's interesting.
Well, the technology is pretty amazing for that.
It is pretty amazing. Yeah. But anyway, I guess it's a first iteration, and it will fade. It will definitely fade. I have it on my phone. I pull it out once in a while.
Well, the funny thing actually about Pokemon Go, and the thing that scares people about it, is the way that it just congregates a huge amount of people without anyone actually having ordered this, right? Like it's just all of a sudden like 100 people will show up in a tiny fucking spot.
Yeah, like that Veterans Park.
Yes. So there's a link that we're going to include where these Pokemon Go players had set up like a little tent and a little, what do they call it, a gym, or what do you think they were setting up there? I don't know, just a zone where if it was fucking raining and you were still trying to catch Pokemon. I mean, like, Pokemon Go players are trying to help one another, I guess. But some veterans took issue to that because they were like, you're disrespecting all these dead bodies underneath us. Don't do anything, brah. And so one of them tore apart tents and knocking phones out of hands.
Yeah, and watch the video. It's hard to watch, actually. It's just like embarrassing for everybody.
Well, it's everybody yelling rights that don't exist. They don't really know anything about.
Yeah, they have no sense of weight or purpose.
It's like, you don't have a right to film me. You don't have a right to tell me that I can't.
You don't have a right to have that beard. Anyway,
everybody discussing each other's rights. I think they know. And they don't know.
Yeah, and claiming this is a gravestone when it's just a monument. Anyway, it's ridiculous. It's very ridiculous. It's not Pokemon's fault, in my opinion.
No,
it's not a result of Pokemon. Pokemon is.
It could be another game.
It's a mere catalyst to bring these two types of people together. But I think it's just a sign of the general crumbling of American society.
Well, look,
let's put it this way, Western society.
If you were a veteran, okay, and you really bought into the society that sent you to Vietnam to do what exactly? To just kill a bunch of fucking people, and which you came back and you were proud of this.
A little sensitive about your monuments, because it's the only thing that's concrete and makes sense.
Yes, and then if you see a society of people, adults, most of these playing these games now,
are sort of appear like adult children.
It's exactly what it appears to them. This is
by
part
their
of the
age, you had already spent years in some East Asian hell.
Yeah, or you would have worked at some fucking job you hated in order to raise kids you didn't like. You know, the kind of thing that people really respectable people do.
Yeah, you know, there's really no dialogue between the different subcultures in the States. It's like, just take north south. Nobody gets along. No one talks. Old young. No one talks. No one gets along. So if Pokemon is going to be the common thread that they have to talk to each other with, it's not going to go well, and it didn't in this video.
No. Well, you were saying it's kind of a symbol of America's state.
It's
I think it's just a symbol of the value differences between the old and young generations.
It's really deeper. Yeah, it's a deeper issue here. It's not Pokemon that causes fight, but.
No, but look at the results. So, as a result of this, there is now an ordinance that's being issued that would ban all recreation at the site, including dancing, sunbathing, anything that might create human pleasure. And you know they're going to win because it's old people that go vote and young people just go to the park and play Pokemon. So, you know, adults are doing adult things, and unfortunately for the fucking adult children still playing games, they're going to soon wake up from their little fog and being like, I can't go anywhere anymore because there's all these weird laws that I've let happen. Yep. That's what happens when your old grumpy grandpa gets a legislating. You know?
Yeah, and you know, when you go to war, one of the banners that you fight under really is freedom. So really you're fighting to protect the freedom of everyone in your homeland, including people to grow up and act like children and play some video game where you bounce balls off of monster heads in the park, in a veterans park. So, I don't know. On one hand, I see that these people are worthy of some kind of respect for the sacrifice they made. Yes. But on the other hand, if you're willing to accept all the glory and valor that comes with being a veteran, you sort of have to
accept it's
love all Americans and all their wacky little freedoms. You
know? They don't have to obey or behave the way that you want them because of the quote unquote sacrifice.
So yeah, these people aren't great. A pregnant lady gets involved at the end of the video. It's just total madness, but it's so middle America.
Well, like we said, I mean, there is a conflict of values between the young and old generation. Now, typically the way that you resolve this conflict is that you send all the young people to die in wars. That's the way they used to do it. And the only people that survive come back brainwashed to your whole fucking attitude, like that fucking poor veteran being like, I went to Vietnam. So you killed a bunch of Asian people for like fucking zero reason. Zero goddamn reason.
I guess it's kind of a macabre way of looking at it, but say you have 100 kind of aimless young people. Would you trade those for like 65 sort of war hero young people?
No, but let's talk about. Actually, we met a couple of weeks ago a young American, soon-to-be war hero. And what did he want? He wanted to see how it felt like to kill someone.
Yes,
fucking great American hero.
Yeah, well, okay. To be fair, they were around 20 years old.
Sure, full of fucking piss and vinegar and drunk.
To be fair, they were super drunk and probably questioning their lives, which is why they came up to Canada to drink young.
Of course, because they couldn't drink in their own. They couldn't drink in their own country, but they can go and kill someone.
Well, yeah, what they were saying when they were drunk, and this is probably like
again the words of a drunk person.
I would say it's more like a drunk person trying to vocalize what's actually happening in their life to try to emphasize. But maybe they actually wanted it. What they were saying was they just wanted to enlist no matter what, so they hope they have a chance to kill someone and know what it feels like. Yeah, that's pretty demented. But that's the kind of person who it was part of the enlisted group there going to boot camp.
You know what it reminds me of, actually? So we're gonna do a long form podcast about this soon, so it's better to tease you about it now. And it's about the play by Wagner called The Ring, or it's The Ring of Nibelberg. I can't quite pronounce it right, which is why I just call it The Ring. Now, effectively, it's this German myth that about the Norse gods. And Flight of the Valkyries. Like the song that dun 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 dun, like that's the most valorous part of like the entire opera that he created, which is 15 hours, by the way. But it's the Valkyries are these beautiful goddesses that pick the valorous ones from the battle so they can bring them back to Valhalla. Now, what that's telling your little brain here is that when you kill, girls are gonna love you, they're gonna praise you. You know, there's always been a part of like that male ego proving thing that if you go out and you kill another motherfucker, you're a real man and you deserve like the worship of these Valkyrie women that will basically bring you up to heaven and where you will endlessly taste battle. Like you see what the kind of appeal is to some of these
oh yeah, well what do all young testosterone fueled men want? Besides aggression, they want sex. And all cultures probably have some kind of sex myth that goes along with war.
Sex and power.
Sex and power. Yeah, sex and power.
Sex and power, and probably
Sexy
in that
power.
probably in that order. Although the truth is, you should always reverse that order because the more power you have, generally the more sex you have. So
Yeah,
you're
that's
really in the
just
wrong
that's
order.
just investing in the sexy future, right? That's just good investment.
But I mean, until the day where power stops being sexy, then I think that will be the day where men stop seeking power.
Power will always be sexy.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
That's exactly. Well, there you go. I
There you
basically told you when that impulse will stop. When power stops being sexy. And, I mean, let's go back to Grimes, man, fucking on the stage, puking and still giving her her all. But that's power, man. That's the sexy shit, you know?
That's a grimy little
You know, that
number.
might not be sexy to you, but a woman fucking putting that kind of effort in her art is sexy to me. I don't care what
Yeah,
you
no,
think.
absolutely. I think there's a certain magnetism to the whole thing, and
Well, she's
You
from
know-
Montreal, so she fucking gives a shit about performing here. So
she killed it. She absolutely killed it. Although I have to say, one of the local reporters for one of the local newspapers gave her a bad review. Said it was probably
you think it was nerves?
you know, keep your shit to yourself. Either you're performing or you're not. But I don't agree at all. I think it electrified the audience and made her completely on her side.
Was he there?
Well, he wrote as though he were there. I don't know if he actually was.
That sounds like some kind of fucking internet journalism bullshit.
Yeah,
where
internet journalism.
I wasn't there, so I think I know what I'm
Nay
talking
on you, sir.
Yeah.
Nay on you.
about. You know, that's actually part of the problem with what I see with modern news is that no one's on the scene. Everyone's commenting about an article or a story that somebody else made. I mean, it's ironic that in an age in which we could have the best and most precise sourcing, we have the weakest source possible for all
Oh
information.
yeah, for sure.
We're at it's like the weakest it's ever been. This is disturbing. You really can't trust a lot of information as a result because it's not being verified by anybody. You know, like if I release a very credible sounding piece of news, can it be properly debunked? I mean, even Snopes just had an interview recently where they said, we can't keep up. No one cares about the truth now, and at every turn we're the ones being undermined.
Yeah,
Us.
and well, the Newt Gingrich quote recently. I'll just paraphrase. It's less about the truth and what people think the truth is, and if they feel strongly
Yeah, I
that
saw
something
that,
is
yeah.
true, then that's the news article. That's bullshit. That's complete bullshit.
That's what a dumb person really definitely
That's
thinks.
what a dumb person says, and I guess you could cultivate your army of dumb people.
Yeah, sure. Like if in the sense that you think that's what matters because you think that the great ignorance of humanity is what matters because that can easily be directed in whatever direction you think.
Yeah.
First of all, you're deluded because ignorance can rarely be controlled.
It'll backfire.
It'll
It'll
always
backfire.
backfires on you.
When you need people to be sharp, all of a sudden they can't because they're dumb.
Because everybody's got that one pet idea that you really need people to listen to and you care about, but when your army of dumb comes by, they won't give a shit. And the other person who followed your example to basically dissolve any truth to your idea will be using the same fucking technique. So you're fucked. Like as soon as you devalue all information, you devalue all information, and even the stuff you care about. So you know, it's kind of important for people to take a step back and say, I think we value information more than we value human feelings, maybe. Like, I really don't give a shit about human feelings. And we're living in a society now where we're replacing this as a premium, a human premium.
Well, I think you know, human feelings can matter if they're based on something real. If they matter more if they're based on something real. Honestly.
But even, you know what, I would contend to say, before we wrap things up, that it may not matter as much as all that. Because, look, people are always going to have different feelings about something. And we're always so wrapped up in how everyone's feeling that I'm like, let's take a step back and say that how you feel is your fucking business, okay? Don't ask for the entire world to apologize to you if you heard something that made you upset or that you didn't like. Grow a tougher skin, and then maybe if you want to fucking improve that world, craft an unbelievably powerful argument that leaves your fucking opponents in the dust. But don't go around being like, my feelings were hurt. That doesn't mean shit to me. Okay? It just means that you might just be a little baby that can't handle some hard truths about the world. And you know, if somebody says that to you, because we've taken a scattershot attitude about hurt feelings. There are some genuinely, there are people who are genuinely being hurt and abused and bullied or whatever, but you can't fucking see these people because they're being drowned out by everybody else who's like, oh, someone said something mean to me, I'm being bullied too. Now it's meaningless. Everybody's a fucking bully, so nobody is. So yeah, you've just basically reduced everything to its most basic and uninteresting form. Congratulations. That's what the world you live in. So.
Fantastique.
All right, I think that pretty much wraps up our subject. Did we miss anything?
I don't think we missed anything. We've got a lot of projects in the pipeline here. I guess first and foremost, it's Rio. Stay tuned.
We're going to be doing probably until the games are over almost exclusively that, because we estimate that on a daily basis there is something that's going to go wrong. Reality
will be more interesting than the hype. Let's put it that way.
And we will cover zero sports. And besides, you're not allowed to cover sports unless you're an officially mandated from the least democratic organization in the history of mankind.
We'll just cover the coverage of the sports, and we should be good.
Am I right? Coverage.
Am I right?
So the people covering the coverage can sue
Newt
us.
Gingrich it up.
There you go.
Yep.
All right. Well, with that, my number is 14,
and my letter is B.
See you later, everybody.